Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Accelerate Your Performance podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Janet Pilcher, founder and president of Studer Education. Last week, as we kicked off our first episode for this year, I shared some personal reflections with you and introduced the new 9 pillars for leadership excellence. I'm excited about these new pillars because they allow us to grow and mature the work that we do with outstanding partners like many of you. And the pillars give us a framework for supporting leadership excellence. As we continue to use these pillars and look for ways to support partners, we have begun to develop new tools. Today, I'm excited to talk with Samantha Sands about one of these tools and how our partners are using it to expand their rounding efforts. So let me introduce you to Samantha Sands, one of my colleagues at Studer Education, who works with a new technology tool that we have developed to support rounding. Sam is the Director of Customer Service at K-12 Rounding and a 20-year veteran in the education sector. With a career that spans museums to STEM education to e-learning leadership, Samantha specializes in the human side of tech adoption, ensuring every partner has the support they need to succeed. She's on a mission to ensure every partner doesn't just use the platform, but thrives with it. And she does such a great job working with our partners and working with our team. It's such a pleasure to have Sam on our show today. It's with great pleasure that I welcome Sam to our show today, one of my colleagues. Sam, welcome.
Thank you, Janet. I'm excited to be here.
We're going to talk a little bit about K-12 rounding. And so as we do that, why don't you, instead of me trying to explain that to our audience, when you have the best knowledge about the platform, Sam, talk a little bit about what K-12 rounding is.
So, K-12 Rounding is a platform that we developed at Studer Education to help K-12 school districts empower their leaders to intentionally engage with staff, families, and students using the rounding process. It allows people to capture those rounding conversations in real time, send recognitions, and track follow-ups to ensure that conversations lead to action. It's a simple tool, it's easy to use, and it can have a huge impact on a district and its culture.
So, and Sam, we talked about a little bit, it's really that platform that helps us work with our partners and people we work with, as you said, to apply rounding and to capture that information. And for those of you that are new to rounding, we'll put some of the links in the show notes so that you can hear more specifically about the rounding work that some of our partner organizations do. So we're going to stay pretty focused on the platform and what the technology application helps us do today, because Sam's very connected to the application of that work, as you all know. So let's talk about from a district's perspective. They're new to rounding, structured rounding. And what's the most critical first step for implementation, and what type of, which I love this, Sam, what type of quick win data does K-12 rounding help them capture so that they can see early value in the process?
So I think the most critical first step is to find a few leaders who are really going to champion the platform. They're going to be your core users, the first ones to use the platform, and then the ones who will also train and support additional users as they add on additional leaders and kind of spread it throughout their organization. I've seen this be really successful in districts that start with a few executive or cabinet members who say, okay, I'm going to go around with a certain number of employees and I'm going to talk to those employees about the tool I'm using and the process while I'm doing it. And then be able to slowly add on additional team members, additional directors and principals, things like that as users. So it kind of starts with a small grassroots team that really champions it and starts to show the value. That quick win data, it comes from a few places, but really just the quick win of seeing those people and holding yourself accountable to seeing and having those rounding conversations because you're tracking them in the platform. And that the people you're having those conversations with can get a copy of that conversation in their email right after. So you are holding yourself and them accountable to that conversation that you had. And then the ability to quickly summarize those reports and take action. So rather than have to go back to your desk and sit through all the notes that you took that week on your computer or your notepad or all your sticky notes and try and say, what did I hear this week from my team members that I talked to? Instead, you have a tool that you can hit the summary button and it will say, here's the themes that came up this week in your conversations. And then you can take quick action and report back to the rest of your leadership team or even to those people that you had the conversations with to say, yeah, I heard this come up a few times. We're going to do something about it.
Yeah, and we talk about when we provide recognition to do it specific and timely in a genuine way. Obviously, that's genuine. You're getting that feedback. It's timely and it's specific, and they can really look at how they want to administer that or recognize people as they hear the good things that are coming in or the bright spots that are occurring. So, really, I think that's one of the best. There's multiple advantages to that tool, Sam, but that's just such a quick win. So appreciate you talking about that. So let's talk a little bit more. Do you have examples of times where a district has started small and then implemented the rounding and seen great impact?
Definitely. I have a few districts that have started small with a specific team of people that kind of surprised me. I have a few districts that have started with their kitchen or their food services team. And that's a team that traditionally has high turnover and kind of low engagement, right? It's a team I think a lot of people forget exists or kind of gets pushed aside. And so by leaders intentionally rounding with those teams, they've seen better retention of those team members and also greater engagement from those kitchen and food services staff members throughout the school and the district because they are seen, they're valued, they're recognized, they're heard, and just those little conversations with them have started to have a huge impact. And so starting small, a small group of leaders rounding with a small team but having a huge impact because food services without it, it's a crucial piece of everything that they do. We have to feed the students and support the staff. And so it's really important that teams like that are engaged and valued, and K-12 rounding can help you get that done quickly.
Yeah, and there are individuals who don't get that connection much. They're not recognized as much, right? So that's a great place to start. And that's one reason probably why we've seen turnover is because we haven't made that connection. So this great example of how you can connect to people who will see great value in that. And then the rewards are there for them. So appreciate that. So as we think about the tool, so one thing, the tool and rounding, the important part of rounding, which you've really connected with, is how do you have personal conversations with people and how do you use that information in order to determine what needs to be improved? How do we recognize what's working? Both of those pieces are important and engaging in those conversations. But also important is when we agree to do rounding in our district, we want people to consistently do it, our leaders to consistently apply it, and we want them to be accountable for that. So how does the tool really allows a leader to check on other leaders to see if they're accountable and doing the things that we expect them to do. So can you talk a little bit about how that occurs in the platform?
So K-12 rounding has built-in dashboards for tracking both rounder and roundee engagement. And so like you mentioned, we often see leaders want other leaders to be held accountable for those rounding conversations. And so with K-12 rounding, a district admin can log in and they can see how many rounds, recognitions, or issues a leader has documented, who they've rounded with, and when they've rounded with them. So that makes goal setting of rounding something that's achievable and trackable, right? We're going to round with every direct report by Christmas, or we're going to round with every direct report this semester. Allows you to track that, see who you've missed, not only as a user, but also as a leader to see maybe who needs a little more support in getting those rounding conversations, scheduled and happening. The roundee dashboard also allows leaders to see who's been missed, who hasn't been rounded with, who's not receiving recognitions, because we know that it's important that recognitions are really shared across the district, right? That everyone is recognized because everyone is valuable and important to the culture. And so by being able to track that and see that, you can see maybe who is being missed in those conversations or that recognition, and then try to make sure that you're including them so that every employee is heard and valued by their leadership.
Yeah, so good. And that's one thing without the tool, it's very difficult to do. You expect people to do it or they're doing it, but you can't see it and triangulate that information in ways that really provide the best benefits to employees and to leaders. So really a great advantage of using the tool and rounding. So thanks for that, Sam. And the other thing I really love from a data perspective, when you're tracking those rounding conversations, you're able to summarize the conversations in certain ways, finding themes and building recommendations so that it's really helping that leader manage all the information coming in and being able to do something with it. So can you talk a little bit about how that works?
Definitely. So K-12 rounding has built-in AI tools that help summarize those rounding conversations. And so as a leader, I can summarize my own rounding conversations and see themes and impacts and recommendations based on the conversations I've had. But also, as a higher leader, like district admin, the superintendent can run that same report for the whole district. They can see all the rounding conversations. So it helps eliminate that human bias because you're not waiting for someone else to report back to you on what they think the themes of their conversations were, or trying to remember what they heard, or putting it all in a spreadsheet and trying to find keywords and themes. The tool will do it for you and do it for you quickly. And there are lots of filters so you can really drill down in that data. If you want just rounding conversations with certain schools or certain groups of employees or a certain date range, you can filter for those and generate reports. So you can get the timely reports, the specific reports, and kind of the big picture as well, which is a lot harder to do when those notes are all on your desk and sticky notes or in your notebook, or you're waiting for someone to send you their report of their conversation. So it allows anyone to quickly access that data and the leadership who needs it.
Yeah, so good. I mean, I love that. I love that. And I know the people that we've worked with, our partners, are really getting a lot out of it. So I'll close with this, Sam. I know you've had the opportunity to get to work with many of our partners as they've been rounding for quite some time, many of them, but now they're able to use the tools. And so as you've had that opportunity to interact with them, what's your learning or what do you feel from that as you begin to make those interactions and continuing to provide that support to them?
What I've seen is, recognitions is really a key piece of the platform. Rounding is the base of the tool, but the recognition piece is really key. We have about 5,000 conversations documented in the platform right now, but over 7,000 recognitions sent because it's so quick and easy. You can document a recognition outside of a rounding conversation. So you can just go to K-12 rounding, say, I want to recognize Janet. Here's what I want to recognize her for. And you can customize those recognitions to be your values, your standards of excellence, whatever it is that's important to your district, so that your employees are not just being valued for, being supportive or encouraging, but they're living the values that you want them to live, and you see them doing that, and you're getting recognized for it, and they can get it immediately in their email. So it's that instant recognition, and you feel valued, and then you're more engaged, and you have better retention and better engagement. Everything kind of grows from there. So I think we've been excited to see how popular the recognition piece has been. Some people were a little nervous because they really like the handwritten thank you notes, and you can still do that. You can
Hmm.
document it in the platform and still write someone a note. They are not things you have to do one or the other. But also, other districts have said, we thought our employees would miss the notes, but they're so happy to have the email right away, because sometimes it would take us a couple of days to get them that note,
Yeah.
and the email comes right away. So I think it's been really exciting to watch that recognition piece grow and to see how each district has customized it to really recognize their team members for the things they want to be recognized for.
Yeah, so good. And that just reinforces what we tend to say, or what we do say all the time, is there's so many things that are going on that are bright spots every day from what people are doing. And our ability now as leaders to recognize that and to immediately send that out in a particular way where people know we're recognizing it provides the power. And I love what you can use, it's not one or the other. It's not you just have to use a thank you note or you just to use one or the other. Now they can really balance like when do I want to send a thank you note based on what versus if I have 100 opportunities where I could recognize something, but I only have time to write 5 thank you notes. Well, let's take advantage of the 100 opportunities, but still write those thank you notes in the ways where we would write them with the five. So I love the versatility that provides, and that it just shows there are good things going on every day that sometimes we don't have the opportunity to recognize. And the K-12 rounding, the platform really provides us with an opportunity to do that. And Sam, thank you. Thank you for the work that you do each and every day on our team and for the work that you do in providing support to our partners. Really enjoyed our conversation today.
Janet, it was nice to talk with you.
Sam is working hard every day to support our partners in integrating rounding into their daily practices. Why? because she is passionate about the work our leaders do every day to make a difference in education so our students can thrive. Her dedication reminds me of the commitment and passion that each of you have for the same goal, student success and making a difference for students and their families. And rounding is just one way to begin making a difference in the culture of educational organizations. You've heard from so many of your colleagues about the impact of rounding. I encourage you again this week, like I did last week, to do something to begin making a positive difference. It may be rounding or it may be something else, but rounding sure is a good start. But when we all throw a pebble in that pond with our efforts, we can make a lot of ripples on the water. Thank you, Sam, for throwing your pebble in the pond. Let's all do the same and get the ripples moving. Have a great week, everyone.